I'm aware. Anyway, welcome to... Why is it doing the thing again? Oh, the mute? It's fine? Okay. Welcome to Contra Gentile Season 4, Episode 2. To push this out of the way. Feel a little quiet. There we go. How you doing?
Good.
Sick and dying?
Yes.
Is this the one? Okay, so we'll talk for a second.
Yeah.
I want to get drunk in here.
Yes. So I really am.
You're dying.
Sick, so.
I know. Do you think, how does alcohol affect you when you're sick?
Except that like this doesn't hurt because it's just seltzer.
No, I don't mean pain. Like, do you get more intoxicated or anything?
No.
Cheers.
No, not really. It's good.
Okay, that's what port tastes like.
Yeah, this is like the flu shit. So.
The flu shits.
Yep.
Why did the cameras turn off?
Elijah's fucking with things.
Well, the audio's still up, so.
I know, yeah.
There it goes. Anyway.
Everything's plugged in, right? Okay.
All good? Okay. Yeah, the audio's good.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be like, you guys sound like robots, and you suck, and don't know anything about economics. It'll be great. I'm waiting, lying in wait here.
Yeah.
Do you just want to go right?
No, you could ask questions. I just got to blow my nose.
Ask questions. Questions am I going to ask you?
I don't know. How's life?
Normal.
Yeah, I guess. I really do.
You feel
This got me good this time.
Yeah, you feel like garbage?
Yep.
Disgusting.
Same track as David Bentley Hart now.
Yeah, they're constantly apologizing for being sick.
Yeah, two episodes in a row. Was it last episode or was it 2 episodes ago? I can't remember.
With what? The sickness?
Yeah.
It was last week.
It was.
I mean, we still did a pretty good job discussing
Yeah.
stuff, so we got 3.5 hours out of
Yeah.
you being sick. So
That was only like one. That was like a 1 or 2 day sickness. Then I felt good.
how long have you felt bad now?
It just started last night. It
Oh,
just got progressively worse.
and you were waiting it out.
Oh yeah. But yeah. Want to get into it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything to say.
Hmm.
Interesting. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so today and the foreseeable future is going to be an extension of... I feel like if we don't do a good job of getting to a good stopping point,
Yeah.
this is going to be like one anthology episode for a whole year.
Yeah.
We're gonna like,
We'll play by ear.
yeah.
But
I just think it's funny. It's like you can't. It's going to be to the point where you have to listen to the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just jump in. Maybe you can for certain parts of it, but
Yeah.
because I didn't even remember where we stopped last time. I think we covered. Yeah, we got in that whole efficient cause thing,
Right. Yeah.
and then
Well, I guess the one interesting thing that happened was that Watkins guy on the Twitter.
was that him?
Ben Watkins, I think that's his name. Yeah.
That was who was arguing with you.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it was a different guy.
No, he switched to his podcast. What was that?
Oh, so he was linking his own discussions.
Yes, yeah, that's what he was saying. It's like, look at the ones that I've done, that
Oh.
we've done. So it's kind of like how sometimes you switch to the Contra Gentilis.
I only do that on accident.
Oh yeah.
I never do that on purpose.
Oh well.
I never want to argue from that account.
Yeah. Well, he did it on purpose.
The beard guy?
I'm pretty sure it was him. Yeah.
I don't know about that. We can get a fact check on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Well,
that
it's
doesn't
definitely his podcast though.
Oh, it
Whatever.
is?
Yeah.
The
whatever.
atheology
Yeah.
one?
Because I looked it up and he is like one of the co-hosts of that podcast.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not saying I think you're wrong. I just thought I didn't pick up on that detail at all.
Yeah. But yeah. it was,
Because what was that?
But it could have been like his friend that's doing it. I don't know.
But he's involved.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just kind of interesting because it just kind of ties together with this. And it really ties, I think, together with probably the theme of last season, which was definitions. And I think that what's interesting and I think what's important is that your words and the definite description of your words kind of have to be relatable. Because the issue that you have when you kind of change it up is that you're no longer talking about the thing that was there prior, but that thing still exists, and yet you still want to hold on to some of its ideas. And so with atheism, I think the difficulty is that when you saw like the 1800s, even probably late 1700s, but when we saw the 1800s and 1900, early 1900 atheists, they were all claiming that you can't have a univocal morality, that everything is subjective. They also said that you can't have univocal truth, is that you can't even know things because
they understood they understood the definition of God to be
right,
being itself. And if they say there's no God, then they can't say there's being.
Yeah,
because that's what people meant by God. Exactly.
Yeah, and so what's weird about we're talking with new atheists that some of them claim to know that that's the position, and yet they begin to revert back to a different definition of God.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, I actually really am well versed in scholasticism.
Yes, yeah. It's like, yeah, but then you're not arguing within that framework.
But he wasn't quoting anybody from
I know he wasn't
earlier than the 1950s.
Yes, I know, yeah. But
all of his guys were now.
I know, yeah. And I think the difficulty is that when you say that you're an atheist, a theist is one who adheres to first principles, theos.
Yeah.
Hence the name theist, right? And so when you appeal to first principles, you're going to automatically be a theist. You can't appeal to first principles and not be a theist. It doesn't mean that you're Christian.
That's what theos is.
Yes, yeah. It doesn't mean that you're a Jew or a Mohammedan. It just means that you adhere to first principles and that the things can be known from those first principles. And so when you read someone like Feuerbach, who's kind of like the influence and precursor to Nietzsche, there's much more strong statements that he makes about the disbelief in God.
Yeah.
In Nietzsche, the same thing. He proclaims that God is dead. Feuerbach just claims that you say no to God, God does not exist. And so
is that the no to God is the yes to man?
Yes, yeah. But when you look at the new atheists, is that they want to claim that their position is not that. Their position is a position of ignorance, that there is insufficient evidence to claim that there is God.
Yeah.
Or they will claim that there is a God. But for me to be charitable, I'll say for them to say that there is no sufficient evidence to show that there's a first principle. That's essentially what you're saying, that when you're an atheist. And so when you do that, but then you go on and say, well, we can know morality through natural law. It's like, well, now again, you're appealing to being. You can't have natural law without having the true, the good, the beautiful as being transcendentals of reality.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way that's literally part of it. And so, it's baffling to me because, and I think it's the same issue that I have with like anarchists and everything, is that the atheists want to revise this term and want to still claim that they're atheists, but they're not holding actual atheistic principle besides their dislike of God.
Christianity.
Yes, and or more
generally, well, yeah, and Islam, I guess.
And
Mohammedanism,
Jews,
yeah.
But yeah, it's more of a rejection of certain religions and religious thought and so on and so forth. But it's not really a rejection of first principle. But they want to claim that it is. We're not appealing to anything. They might go quote with what's his name, Russell, and say, "Well, I'm just appealing to brute facts." Well, brute facts is an epistemic claim. It's not an ontological claim, for one thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so, what would brute facts be embedded with? Reality.
Yeah.
And what is reality being?
Yeah.
That which is. Right. And so then you go back to quiesce. Literally, you go back to Yahweh Asher Yahweh. I am who is. And so there's and so when they claim they know the scholastic position or they know the Catholic position, and yet they still say, well, you can have morality without a God. It's like, well, then you're just defining God differently. Yes, you just are already not actually adhering to these things. And so it's I find it weird. But I think it goes along with the same theme that we have seen with many contemporary thinkers, and that is they want to pigeonhole an alternate definition of things so that they don't fall into traps that is obvious to it. like nihilism is obvious to atheism.
Yes.
Right? You to be an atheist, you reject first principles and you reject transcendental. So there's no goodness, there's no truth, and
Well, there's no
beauty.
there's no meaning.
There's
to
no meaning.
reality,
Right?
Because reality or life, because life can't refer to anything.
Yes, it's not referring to anything
Beyond itself. Yeah.
Yep. And so they don't want to be nihilists. And so because they don't want to be nihilists, they want to tweak the definition and say, well, I'm not claiming that there is no God. I'm just claiming that there's insufficient evidence to prove that there is no God. And there's, you know, and it's truly just, it is the trick that virtually every contemporary thinker has done. Mm-hmm. They've done it with anarchy. They've done it with economics. They've done it with all these other terms because they want to make it into something more than what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just not. Atheism is nihilism.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, economics is putting things in order, normally focusing on money because a society, because nothing is free. Right? So that there's an interconnectedness with money when you talk about economics. Mm-hmm. There's, with anarchy is just no ruler. And that's the reality, right? And so then they want to claim it. So but no ruler doesn't mean no rules. It's like, oh, what?
How are there rules without a ruler?
Yes, yeah. And so they always do this this sleight of trick, and then they want to pigeonhole other ideas, basically Christian ideas, into their worldview. That's what it is.
Yeah.
For an atheist to say that there is univocal morality that is found within natural law, you're literally just trying to shove a Christian point of view into their position. Yeah. And that's stupid.
Obviously.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's normally how I start with most of them. Is like I just think it's dumb. Like why are you doing that? And I think that's what probably tends to piss some people off because, I'm not going to sit here and argue within the framework.
Well, when you make the whole discussion revolve around why you should accept the redefinition.
Yes.
They don't know what to do with that.
Yes, yeah.
Give me one of those. Mm-hmm. Just give me one and I'll have it here.
These Alaskan seltzers are actually quite tasty. The other ones that I've tried, the brand names, have a weird aftertaste.
Well, they have like a malty thing.
Oh, is it that what it is? Yeah.
What is this?
To me, it
Does
almost
this have
tastes like
ingredients
aspartame.
listed? Filtered carbonated water, alcohol, spruce tips.
Mm.
That's the sweetener? Does they use spruce tips?
Yeah, I think that's why. I think the other ones use aspartame. This one, it really is.
Or they might use what's it? Some might use like monk fruit or like
maybe
sucralose is a big one.
Yeah. But this one definitely, I think, is the best one. There's no weird aftertaste. It just tastes like.
It's just like a LaCroix.
It does, yeah.
Weird.
If anybody could get
that's a good aftertaste.
I know. If anybody could find it in their state, the Alaska hard seltzer.
And the edge on the can, I don't know if people can see that, but it's like, I'll put it up over here. It's like ribbed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a hard lip on it.
Yeah, I know. That's
a really nice feeling can to drink out of.
Yep.
It's really like, that beer, the Coors Banquet which is stupid because everybody else has had it a million times. But the thing that, the cheap beer pilling that Gnome gave me, the stubby bottle that comes in like a round stubbier bottle.
Oh, does it?
All beer should come in that bottle. The mouth on it is wider.
Oh, nice.
And it doesn't have a travel, the length of the spout on regular beer bottles. When it evens out, has like an interchange. It makes like a little vacuum and it's kind of sloshy. These ones, the spout is this long.
Right, yeah.
So it's like drinking out of a glass with a tiny
that's
mouth on it. It's really good. It's awesome. Yeah, I've never had these before.
Yeah.
That's a pleasant aftertaste.
I know it is, yeah. Like I was shocked the first time I had it. I was like, wow, I could literally drink this like I drink any bubbly water.
What's the percentage?
Not that high.
4.5. I mean, still.
Yeah, it's freaking. It's really good.
Yeah.
One of the few things that Alaska makes really well.
Yeah. Oh, the extra tough boots. Mm-hmm. I found a pair with that are like lace up.
Oh, okay.
Because Gnome again. He's like telling me he's like my guy for everything now. But he found a deal on them. They were like $85.
Oh, really?
Because normally they're 200 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize that extra tufts are so popular here
They are.
that it's listed on the Wikipedia page. It's the second
Yeah.
sentence is they're popular in Alaska.
It's amazing.
I didn't realize that because
Yeah.
obviously I think of everybody wearing extra tufts all the time,
Yeah.
and
It's hideous.
it's it's I guess they're like they're popular with anywhere where there's like a fishing, like commercial fishing
Yeah.
culture.
But unfortunately, Alaskans just use them outside.
I know.
And like some of the women just use it as fashion. Like their word.
Which that's a very Alaskan thing.
It is. They wear like tight leggings with what is that? With extra
but they just
tufts.
look like those other boots that I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they weren't as popular almost anywhere else. Like, I guess
Yeah.
they were just a staple to me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I figured because Alaska's like a couple years behind. I just figured they were a thing that was popular everywhere, and we
Right.
like the.
I think the other thing that somebody said, I never looked it up, but hoodies. Alaska's like one of the most per capita people who wear hoodies on a regular basis.
I can see that the salty dog.
Yeah, like it's if you go like to the valley,
The fact that you can't buy the Alaskan Amber hoodies anymore is like
you can't what?
the Alaskan Amber hoodies
Oh, you can't get those anymore.
with the logo on them.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
black
yeah.
ones with the logo. I
Yeah.
want one
Yeah,
because now they're like a commodity.
I
They
didn't know.
sell for like money on eBay.
Really? Yeah. No, that's a thing up here. It's like they all wear hoodies with a cap underneath.
Yeah.
And that's a look. You can't.
Oh, with extra tufts and jeans.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, other places do that.
No, but
But
here
it's
it's like
especially
everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you meet, you work at the governor's office, and then you see these people on the weekend. They're wearing hoodies,
with
a
hats.
cap,
Yeah.
and extra tufts. Like that is.
Which to me, it's just the official uniform of commercial fishermen.
I know. Yeah. It's official uniform of just Alaskans now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you go to most states and you work in like any downtown city area, you work for the government, you work for like large oil companies or whatever, people just like dress nice all the time. And then when they're out of work, they like work out and they dress. I mean, I shouldn't say that everywhere, but normally the metropolitan person has that, metropolitan look.
Yeah.
Here you could be in the city and people are walking with extra tufts. with
Everybody
hoodies.
looks like blue collar. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Even when they're not.
Even yeah.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Even if you work white collar, you still dress like you're blue
I know,
collar.
yeah. Yeah, if you see the governor on off time, it's extra tough,
Oh, I'm positive.
like all the time.
He wears like giant size 15
Yes,
extra
yeah.
tufts or something.
Like really baggy clothes, and
Yeah.
he has a hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm like, whenever seeing him, I'm like, dude, man, why you dress like that? He was like, you're not Alaskan?
And you're like, apparently not.
Yeah. he always like wants me to buy he took me to Big Ray's.
Oh, really?
Yes. He was like, come on,
That's
Jeremy.
next to like Kinley's.
He took me to the one in Fairbanks.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was like, Jeremy, come on, just pick something out. I'll buy it for you. I was like, I'm not going to
Where?
pick any of this shit out, man. There is nothing here that I would want to wear.
I definitely have a middle ground.
I know, yeah. I know I'm extreme in that sense, but there's something about that clothes.
I think I dress with the same utilitarian attitude, but I don't wear the same items.
Yes, yeah.
Like my whole closet looks this
Yeah.
black long sleeve anything
Right.
with jeans of varying shades of blue
Yeah.
and like leather boots. It's like
I was trying to explain it to him, and I really do think probably the main thing that bothers me the most is just that it makes me feel poor.
even though commercial,
I know
they're
they're
extremely well
expensive,
paid. Yeah.
But the way that you dress like that just makes me feel poor. And since I was like illegal immigrant parents and actually poor growing up,
Yeah.
to revert back to having that type of
Are there any
clothes-
foods for you that are like poor people foods that you refuse to eat?
No,
Or
because
is
my,
it
mo-
different?
my
Because-
mom, if I only ate McDonald's growing up, probably. But my mom always cooked since she's Latina. And so we never really went out to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's just always been like a
Because like my grandfather refused to eat yogurt
because the
of
same
any
thing.
kind. Yeah, same
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
He refused to eat any kind of goat milk product of any kind,
Oh, wow.
which is like expensive now.
I know. Yeah.
But
But
it was,
his day.
it was poor people food.
Yeah.
and he just hated feeling poor.
You know
and-
which one it would be? Powdered milk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that to me just like screams poor. It's like
Yeah.
no,
I use it for baking,
Do you? Yeah,
but that's different.
it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing wrong with it. It has a weird, funky taste, but it's actually pretty tasty with some cereals.
It's like fat. It's fattier. It has like
Yeah.
a butterier taste.
Yeah, but
It has like a tap water
yes
thing going on.
Yeah.
If you made it with like really, really cold distilled water, I bet it wouldn't matter.
Probably not.
You probably wouldn't notice if it was in
Yeah.
something, but the
Yeah.
tap water chlorine thing in the
Oh, yeah. Like there's other things. It's pretty funny because I talk to other people who are raised poor and they have the same things, at least for my generation.
Yeah.
But the other thing is Tide.
Like the
It's
brand,
like
the brand of
if you have money,
detergent?
yes, if you have money, you're using Tide.
yeah.
If you're poor, you're using like Off-Brand or Gain or like one of the funky ones.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like making it in life means that
I get to use
I
Tide.
get to use Tide constantly.
Yeah.
You know, because those are when you look at the price of Tide compared to like the Off-Brand, it is like 40% different in price.
I use Kirkland.
Do you? Yeah. And so
I use Kirkland everything.
yeah,
I'm like religiously Kirkland.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing was having a house. You know, like that was a big
Not
thing.
renting.
Yeah, not renting. And then not only having a house, but having a house with stairs means that yes. Like you made it. If you have like 3 floors, yeah, it's good. And so like
That's so odd because like
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people relate to that.
poor,
But
yeah.
my
a lot of
parents have had like 2 houses paid off my whole life that I'm gonna
I
inherit.
know.
And I'm like, I just never,
I know, yeah.
I never.
I remember one
thought
time I
about
was
it.
talking to Brian, and
Yeah.
and he was like, "I wasn't really raised that wealthy." I was like, "Did you live in a house?" He was like, "Well, if that's your measurement," and I was like, "Yes." All right, I had a trailer for a little bit with my dad and my mom, and then we lived in apartments and from town to town trying to find work, never really making it. You know, it was just like. And then, so when I went to school and I saw my friends having all this, it was like, go to my friend and he has a fucking house. Like,
That's very American, yeah.
each one of their siblings have their own video game console. And I was like, we had to share.
Oh, we shared.
Did you? Yeah.
So maybe that's a half poor person.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something that
Yeah.
shocked me. I go to their house and like, he's got a Super Nintendo. The younger brother has a Super Nintendo. The other brother kind of wants Sega Genesis, so he has a Sega Genesis. I was like, we get one.
Oh, yeah,
And we had to agree. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
my dad was like, no, we can only afford one. So I was like, fuck, okay. What? And so, but for my parents, that was a lot because they came from Peru where
Oh,
they
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have anything. So for them, it was like, I'm giving my kids a lot, right? You know,
Which
in
it
Peru,
is.
I know it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. So in Peru, they're not going to have a TV with a video game, but
Yeah.
but there's always that next level where you see when you're growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
and since my parents refuse to live in minority neighborhoods, my mom just says no, they're not going to be raised with a bunch of Mexicans. They're not going to be raised with black people. They're going to be raised with white people. So my mom, no matter how hard they had to work, she always wanted to get an apartment, at least in a nicer place. That's where we live in Eagle
Yeah,
River,
yeah, yeah.
where the medium income in Eagle River is like
It's still high.
Yeah.
It's Eagle River and
100,000, I think it was.
Yes, Eagle River
Mm-hmm.
or Chugiak High School
yes.
and South High School have the highest per
Yeah.
capita income.
But the one thing that I don't think my parents took into account was how it affected us as kids seeing that. And we're like, fuck, we don't have any of that.
Because I'm trying to think.
Like it was embarrassing to have somebody come over to our house because it was just an apartment, like a small, like literally a small ass 2-bedroom. We all was like squished in a room. Yeah. And so, but yeah. So so if you ever
Because
wonder,
I'm trying to think of like what I don't. It's a combination of I don't know if I would have noticed as much,
Yeah.
but I also don't have any memory of being like, all these kids have things I don't have.
Yeah.
But I also didn't grow up spectacularly wealthy.
I know you didn't. Yeah.
No, I know.
Like-
I know.
like- yeah.
I'm thinking about. I'm just trying to. Think
I
of, like, in my own
understand the
experience.
dynamics more now, but in
Yeah.
my child
of course,
mind,
yeah.
I'm still that way. My child mind is like, if you were in the 90s with a cordless phone, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you afford a cordless phone? that's really the way we thought, because we still had like the rotary turn that my parents had to find in a garage sale. And we had that for years until high school. And then my mom was able to finally afford like a cordless phone. But that's when you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're illegal immigrants, there's no stability.
Yeah,
right?
I'm thinking back on it. It's like all the kids I grew up with were better off materially,
Yeah.
but at the time I didn't notice at all.
Really? Yeah.
But I think that there wasn't enough of a difference for me to be like amazed by anything.
No, we always had like there's some habits I still have as a poor person
Like
that I can't erase. Like I buy clothes until they rip.
Oh, I do that too.
Yeah,
Is that a poor person thing?
Yeah, like I normally have like maybe 2 or 3 pairs of pants.
And then you just wear them
and I just wear them, and then when they rip, I go buy another one. But well, I remember like going to their closets and it's like packed with stuff. Like Amanda and stuff are more packed, and my kids always have a lot of clothes. But yeah,
I don't see the point.
Yeah,
because I wonder. You and I are extremely similar.
Yes, yeah,
but for very different. I'm just lazy.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why do I need more than 3 pairs of pants?
Yeah. But yeah, that's
can do laundry
right
twice a week, 1 load or something.
So yeah,
I literally own like 9 long sleeve black items.
Oh wow,
and that's my wardrobe.
Yeah.
I own like 3 button down black shirts, 3 black crew neck sweatshirts.
Like this is the first time that I bought more because of this job.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think it's time. You know, it's time. I finally have a house, 2-car garage, and all that shit. Like all those things in my head. If I was a kid, it was like, dude, that is the dream.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funky, but yeah, it's definitely.
No, that makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
I do the exact same thing, but it has to be for totally different reasons.
Yes, yeah.
It has to just be laziness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not cheap.
Right, yeah.
Obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm incredible at wasting money on extremely nice stuff.
Right.
Constantly. I've gotten a handle on that in the last few.
Oh, did you?
Last year, I've really slowed down.
I still think that was one of my favorite episodes with Jay.
Yeah,
when we were talking about you spending the money.
The $50 car.
Yeah.
That's not people. It's like you cannot make fun of me for buying a $50 car. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It can't be an own. I have a car I bought for $50.
Yes.
I like scammed a guy out of a car for $50.
Yes, yeah. And it still works.
Any level of making fun of me for that is like,
oh yeah.
What? So I bargain well. I'm a winner.
Yeah. I win.
I win.
Yeah. No.
My car doesn't have a computer in it.
Right, yeah.
Parts are dirt cheap. It runs fantastically. I have like the only 5-speed manual Saturn wagon in existence. I swear to God. Let's go. It will be. There's like Saturn collectors. It'll be
really?
a car. It'll be a car people want.
Oh yeah.
It's weird. Isn't that weird that someday like 90s cars are going to be classic cars?
I know.
Especially now that everything's going
computer.
Everything's computers now. Yeah, mine has like 1 ingoing and 1 outgoing O2 sensor on it, and that's it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like
no, I found this. I mean, for people out of state that actually finds cheap cars, it's not going to be cheap for them. But for Alaska, it's pretty cheap. I found this. What was it? 2001 5-speed. Was a Ford F-150 truck, because you know how I always like need a truck.
Oh yeah.
Only for $5,000.
Yeah.
And it has pretty high miles. I think it's 127,000 miles. But for a 2001, that's not actually that bad in terms of miles.
Is it the single cab bench?
No, it has 2. It has back seats too.
Oh,
I'm really thinking of getting it. I was like, oof. Then I could always like get shit that I need and not having to worry about.
But you should take care of it.
I know.
You're very bad at that.
Yeah, I am.
Your cars die on you constantly.
Yeah. I run them to the ground, but that one's going to mostly stay in a valley. That's the thing. That's not going to be my commuter.
Anyway, do you want to get into this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So last week we think we covered the first 2 ways to prove the existence
covered the
of God.
objections. That took a long time.
No, the objections we still have to go through.
No, the replies to the objections.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah, I got hung up on the efficient cause. And getting hung up is fine.
I know, yeah.
I'll get as hung up on stuff as I want. But
I think other people will, so it's good for us to like actually go through it.
yeah, and of course what I'm doing, I guess to be transparent, is I'm skimming these. I'll like read them through.
Yeah.
And if I don't have any notes on the next one, because I read it on the computer and just printed it out. but I just am like making sure that I'm not surprised by anything.
Yeah.
But I'm intentionally not doing a ton of sitting and stewing on it.
Right.
Because
yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to stew on it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got through movement, the argument for movement. So the
Yeah.
first mover, anything that is that moves must be moved by something else. And to avoid infinite regress, there must be a first mover.
Yes. Yeah.
That's God.
Yeah.
Second is efficient causes, that you can't have an infinite regress of efficient causes or efficient causations causing, like every efficient cause must be caused by the previous efficient cause
Yes.
all the way
yeah.
back, and then that first efficient cause is God.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we hit number 3, which is the argument of possibility and necessity.
Okay.
I don't think, that doesn't sound like,
Yeah.
I don't have a
we did.
memory of that. So hopefully we're not rehashing something.
Yeah.
But just to go right back in, we say the third way is taken from possibility and necessity and runs thus. I think we did. I remember saying that in my accent.
Oh, you did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe we did discuss that.
yeah.
So can we give a brief? Remember the runs that? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
do
You
this.
did do. Yeah.
I think we were burnt out at that point. So
Yeah.
okay. So what is the possibility and necessity is that for everything to be in a state of. What is the
Maybe
third?
we just didn't finish it. I think that's what it was.
Really?
Yeah. We find in nature that things are
Okay, so
possible.
hopefully we're not repeating anything.
Yeah.
But,
we'll go through it quickly.
yeah, so the third way is taken from possibility and necessity and runs thus. We find in nature things that are possible to be and not to be, since they are found to be generated and to corrupt, and consequently they are possible to be and not to be. But it is impossible for these always to exist, for that which is possible not to be at some time is not, which means that for something to be possible, or can we say potential? Is that a synonym here? Or does it have
I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't do that. I was
Okay,
thinking
so
possible.
So not to be. So for something to be possible, it must at some time not be.
Yeah.
Because to be possible means it isn't yet.
Yeah.
Therefore, if everything is possible not to be, then at one time there could have been nothing in existence. Now, if this were true, even now there would be nothing in existence, because that which does not exist only begins to exist by something already existing. Therefore, if at one time nothing was in existence, it would have been impossible for anything to have begun to exist, and thus even now nothing would be in existence, which is absurd. Therefore, not all beings are merely possible, but there must exist something, the existence of which is necessary. But every necessary thing either has its necessity caused by another or not. Now it is impossible to go on to infinity in necessary things which have their necessity caused by another, as has been already proven in regard to efficient causes. Therefore, we cannot but postulate the existence of some being having of itself its own necessity and not receiving it from another, but rather causing in others their necessity. This all men speak of as God.
Yes.
So that one seems pretty self-evident to me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, just everything is in a state of possibility.
Yes. Like if you just have the one who the guy who kind of popularizes later was, what's his name? Fuck, I can't remember. But he the words he used was contingent and necessary. And so possible being is like a contingent beings that only have existence by reference to something purely actual. And so if all things were simply possible, all things were simply contingent. And then there at some point it was not. And if at some point it was not, it means that at some point then everything came into being out of nothing. And so the principle was ex nihilo nihil fit, which means that out of nothing nothing comes. And so if you say that out of nothing nothing came, that really doesn't make any sense. That's an incoherent statement.
Yeah.
And so one has to posit at least that there is something necessary. And
that necessary being
is God. Yeah.
We on to the next one.
Yeah.
This one's my favorite.
Okay.
And I think it's to me the most convincing.
Okay, cool.
The movement one to me is just so. It's just like a slam dunk, like an easy slam dunk.
Oh yeah.
This I don't know. I like that. I really I think it just barely tickles my taxonomy love of like
Oh, okay.
categorizing stuff.
Yeah.
But the fourth way is taken from gradation to be found in things. Among beings, there are some more and some less good, true, noble, and the like, but more and less are predicated of different things, according as they resemble in their different ways something which is the maximum, as a thing is said to be hotter, according to as it more nearly resembles that which is hottest. So that there is something which is truest, something best, something noblest, and consequently something which is uttermost being. For those things that are greatest in truth are greatest in being, as is written in Metaphysics 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Aristotle?
Yeah. Now the maximum in any genus is the cause of all in that genus, as fire, which is the maximum heat, is the cause of all hot things. Therefore, there must also be something which is to all beings the cause of their being, goodness, and every other perfection, and this we call God. So it's everything in its being, that thing is, of all things of that category, are more and less perfect in their thatness.
Yes, yeah.
That thingness.
Yes, yeah.
So like every tree is more and less perfect in its treeness and like its fulfilling of its own nature.
Yeah.
And the maximum point is God.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And I actually thought about it, the example of fire, that fire is the cause of all things hot.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, oh, literally every substance known to man could be heated to the point of flame, and that's the point at which it just disappears.
Right.
It becomes gas. It just goes away.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's an interesting. It's almost like a parallel with the more and more you split an atom, the more you realize there's just nothing there.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so like you can. Everything that every body that exists can be heated to the point of burning.
Yeah.
And being caught caught aflame.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the point at being caught aflame that the thing ceases to be what it is.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's burned, then it just is reduced to whatever matter constitutes it. But it is no longer that thing anymore.
Yeah, you could burn it into ashes, basically.
Yeah, and that's not wood anymore.
Right, yes, yeah.
I just thought that was a really interesting... Like just the flame example was very good because there is a visible point at which everything that exists can be heated, that it will catch flame and be destroyed and no longer be what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the...
No, yeah, it's good.
And so like fire being, fire is always is very, very frequently used as an allegory for God.
Right.
I just thought that was an interesting...
Yeah.
kind of reduction of that gradation idea. I really like the gradation thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could, if I have a reason, but the fifth one is order. I know that there's different ways this is worded depending on translation.
Yeah, the governance of the world.
Yeah. The fifth way is taken from the governance of the world. I've seen other translations say order of the world.
Yeah.
So the fifth way is from governance of the world. We see that things which lack intelligence, such as natural bodies, act for an end, and this is evident from their acting always or nearly always in the same way so as to obtain the best result. Hence it is plain that... Whoa. I just read that. Hence, it is plain that not fortuitously but designedly do they achieve their end. Now, whatever lacks intelligence cannot move towards an end unless it be directed by some being endowed with knowledge and intelligence. As the arrow is shot to its mark by the archer, therefore some intelligent being exists by whom all natural things are directed to their end, and this being we call God. So it's that we can view... or we can observe in, what is the phrase he uses? In natural bodies?
Yeah.
Because that, to me...
Yeah, basically things without intelligence are directed towards their end.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, right? A rock in terms of its hardness, or whatever. Like there's an actual end.
A duck has a certain...
Right, yes, yeah.
End, and they just all happen to have the same behavior.
Yeah. And so he's saying that anything that is directed towards an end is directed by intelligence, and so because of that, then that end, that directness of the end is what they call God.
Yeah. And that is I feel like a lot of like creationist types it kind of intuit that argument, but badly represent it.
Right. Yeah.
Because they think, because God is not a mind.
Right. Yes.
But they assume to attribute intelligent design to the world could, if you don't understand what God is, could be misconstrued as like God is like the big intelligent mind.
Right. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
designed all this.
Yeah.
But intellectually.
Yes. And so what it's essentially what it's saying is that this is more about ends being directed intentionality.
Yeah.
And so
well, if things have ends at all, it's
intentional.
Intentional.
Yes. Yeah. And he says that movement.
But intentional does not mean exactly what people think it means. No.
Right.
There's a
yeah.
difference in definition.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
intent.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's somewhat, because I think right now we just kind of mean it that I guess.
It's an act of.
It is a will for.
It is, but individual human will.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And so this tries to use an analogy in terms of the arrow with the archer, that if there's a certain end, that there needed to be an archer to reach that end. But basically anything that is directed towards an end requires intentionality.
Yeah.
And so and we don't know anything that really does. And so when we look at the world, we see that things that are not intelligent are directed towards an end.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there must be some sense of intelligence itself, I guess, that is that is directed things towards their end.
Yeah, I like the last two the best.
Yeah.
I almost think they're the most poetic.
Oh, yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, they're quite different from the first two.
Yeah, the first two, the moving and the efficient.
And
cause,
first
much
three,
more. They're much more because they're not any less correct.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But they're more observational because they're not inductive, but they're more.
No, the last two I think are induction.
Are they?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's in terms
you
of
must. You must. It does require a certain bit of faith that
probability
that those things are actually their ends.
Yes. Yeah.
That all manifestations of the thing you're observing. Act in that way.
Right. Like Anselm's is pure deduction, which is probably why you hate it.
Oh, I should comment on that. I know that I said during our recording that I'll have these moments where I don't get an argument and I get really I get really hung up on it and I spin around and then I like sit on it and then I wake up the next day and I process the episode and then I listen to it. I still was like, this is dumb. It was the first time because it was the first time I wasn't having like a click moment.
Yeah.
Where at least I wasn't having a moment where it was God must be because if he wasn't, then he wouldn't be or something. It's like, that's my synthesis of it.
Well, then it wouldn't be God. Yeah.
Then he wouldn't be God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't. Yeah.
It wouldn't be that which is the greatest thought.
Yeah. It was the first where like I couldn't even intuit that I wasn't grasping a thing that I would grasp later.
Yeah.
And then I listened to that entire discussion of that.
Yeah.
That whole I don't even want to say meltdown. It was fun, but like the whole back and forth on that. And I still was like, that's still a dumb argument to me.
Yeah.
It still was like, that's a okay, nerd. Like
it is. Like it's
that's not. I was like, that's not going to mean anything to anybody.
That's the pure deduction one.
Yeah.
Which Aquinas normally does both admixture of induction, like he begins with induction, like he begins with observation.
Yeah.
And
because that's the way we know things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
since I am an analytical thinker, like I personally love Anselm's argument. It to me, it is the most just like concretely true because it's true by definition.
Yeah.
Like you can't really escape.
It just feels like an annoying, nerdy, like tricky thing.
Yeah. It is.
It's like a meme almost. It's just it's not. It doesn't. I just was listening to it. I was like, no, like everything I was saying, I was like, no, I still 100% stand by what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe I implied that I would like take any of it back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. It is like a dumb nerd. Okay. Do you? It's like I want to say, well, okay. Do you lift? Like, It's the same like somebody like
Yeah.
okay, well, how much money do you make? Like I want to beat him up. Like,
Yes,
it's so
yeah.
nerdy.
Yeah. When things are just
It's like I just want to like. It's just like if someone tried to make that argument, I would just want to like dominate
because
them.
there's no observation to that argument at all.
Yeah,
It's not based anything. There is absolutely no
it
induction.
evokes no
no observation, no senses, nothing.
response, really, no
Yes,
emotion of anything.
It's just pure deduction. It's like a mathematical equation. It's like you have this definition of what something means to be, and that one requires.
Like, do you even fuck, bro? Like, what do you?
Yeah,
Like, what do you?
that it requires
It's
it
like,
necessitates being, and that if you
Okay,
negate
like
being from
okay,
it,
you helped no one.
yeah.
Give him a tiny clap.
I think it's a. I personally think it's
no, I know, I get it. I
it's
get
like
it.
a
but the same-
clean. It's a clean, beautiful argument in my.
yes, but I also like.
But like I said, I never actually use it.
No, you shouldn't.
No,
It wouldn't
I never
work on
use it
any-
because I know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I normally use Aquinas' argument because it's much more effective. Because it begins with the senses. You would have to be like I think the only time I would ever use it if like have you met some like mathematicians that got their PhD? Yeah. It's like with those people I would use it because they actually
They're like that.
I actually knew 2 mathematicians that loved that argument when I presented it to them. Because it is indisputable at that point. There is
Yeah, but there's
nothing.
There is nothing on Earth. I'd rather be less than a mathematician. It is the most.
because it is as
They may as well be eunuchs to me.
it's as clear as 2 + 2 = 4. It's like you can't have 5.
It's like they're the people that eat MREs for fun.
No, those are like the geeks from military.
That's the same kind of people to me.
No, they're worse. I would say mathematicians are worse. Oh my god!
Because I have met mathematicians. I do know like physics
Yeah.
mathematician guys.
Yeah, like when I went to grad school, like I was shocked. I was like, wow, I really don't think these guys have ever even seen a breast. You know,
They probably don't care.
I don't think they do. I don't think they. I saw a pussy first time I was like 4 years old.
And you were like, that's it?
Yep. And these guys, I'm like, I don't think they see that ever.
They see it and they're like, go, I'm multiplying.
Yes. Yeah. Like, they talk like, how you doing?
Kripke.
Yes. It's really bizarre.
Kripke wouldn't know what a boob was.
No.
if he
Yes.
saw
I know.
it.
Yes. Yeah, but there's something about analytical minds.
When was the last time we talked about Kripke?
It's been a while. He was in school for mathematics.
8 or
first.
9 months,
Did you-
probably.
You knew that, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was like a math prodigy.
Yep. And then he switched to philosophy, which is pretty genius.
I bet he'd love Anselm's argument.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's the type of person that I think would actually convert. Like,
Well, it's just there really is a certain point at which a person can be so logically minded
yeah.
that they would convert
Yes.
if
yeah.
offered the proper argument.
Yeah.
They would just wouldn't. They wouldn't. There's certain people are so logical
Yeah.
that they do not experience like cognitive dissonance of any kind.
Yes. Yeah. That's how mathematicians
They
work.
just
I think that's how
flip.
Anselm was. Anselm's writing are just very, very direct, analytical, and you just it isn't like Aquinas. Like Aquinas really speaks to that's why he is the angelic
really speaks
doctor.
to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why he's different than a doctor from like Anselm was also a doctor, but he was the what did I write? Because I looked it up. The magnificent doctor,
Yeah.
because his mind really is like a beautiful mind, just analytical, focused, and you can't like
But he'd be a bore to hang out with.
yes. He probably talk like this,
But he
you know?
can't hang.
It's not God because
He wouldn't.
it necessitates being.
Yeah.
Yes.
God must be. Because if he wasn't, then he wouldn't be.
Everyone's like, "K." He's got a helmet on. Because
That would be beautiful.
Gross. But anyway, we can move on to the last two objections.
let's
Move
go
on to the next question.
Objections, yeah.
Should I reiterate? Okay, so the question is whether it can be. That's wrong. That is incorrect. Article 3 of question 2 is whether God exists. Objection 1 says is the blah 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 blah. Oh, it's the if God good, why kid die cancer thing.
Yes, yeah.
And then that's actually become a phrase that a lot of people I know say. If God good, why kid die cancer. That's my cultural internet contribution to people is that format.
Not the contemporary atheists are talking about depression.
Yeah.
If God good, why depression?
Yeah.
Why people
Objection
sad?
2 is the idea of God is unnecessary to prove things that are observed in the world. So those two. So the objection to the first, God, if God good, why kid die cancer? Aquinas says, as Augustine says, in Enchiridion 11. I don't know what that is. Is that just the thing he wrote?
Yeah.
Enchiridion, is there a translation or is that what it's called in English?
I don't know, actually.
Anyway. Yeah, Augustine wrote so much. Since God is the highest good, he would not allow any evil to exist in his works, unless his omnipotence and omnipotence is a special English word that I hate.
It is. That's why it's there, and it's in the it's in like in the subtext because that's not what it says in Latin.
Yeah, I hate the words omniscience, omnipotence.
So when you see it, it's italic because they kind of pigeonholed it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that this translation I don't think is the best.
Yeah. What do we mean by omnipotence? Unless his, because God is power.
Yes,
God isn't
itself.
omnipotent. He's not all powerful.
Yes, he has
is
power itself.
Unless his, but I'll just read what's here. Unless his, so he would not allow any evil to exist in his works unless his omnipotence, which is a word we hate, and goodness were such as to bring good even out of evil. This is part of the infinite goodness of God, that he should allow evil to exist and out of it produce good. So it's like, that's actually an interesting response that I don't know if that's a super logical thought.
Right, yeah.
Because it's almost, the reason I appreciate it and think it's kind of catty is it's playing the same game as the objection. It's not, it's almost elaborating on the objection more than it is a completely separate, different argument. Because, the if God good, why kid, dad rape, or whatever.
Yes.
Is if there's evil in the world, how can there be a God?
Yeah.
He says, well, good comes out of evil. Therefore, your argument that evil is in the world is stupid.
Right, yeah. You're predicating goodness.
Yeah. So it's goodness comes out of evil, so your argument's invalid.
Yeah.
It's not even a discussion of what evil is.
It isn't, yeah.
It's just you're it's almost like an accusation of like taking things out of context.
Yeah. Yeah, he just refers to Augustine, like he doesn't give any of his own kind of thoughts behind it, yeah. He just says as Augustine says.
It's such a dumb and ignorant argument that he just didn't even deign to I just thought that was interesting the first time I was reading it.
Yeah.
But the second objection being the
that's why David Bentley Hart hates that argument.
The Theodicy one?
He hates Aquinas's and Augustine's response to it. Like really badly.
Well, I just don't really respect him, so.
I know.
Giant fat guy. Yeah, it's like I feel bad about myself, and then I see people like David Bentley Hart, and I'm like, I am doing fine. I am in perfect health.
Yes, yeah. Compared to him.
Yeah. So objection 2 is the idea of God is unnecessary to explain any phenomenon. You can explain empirically any phenomenon that's attributed to God, whatever. But is that explain empirically? Reply to objection 2: since nature works for a determinate end under the direction of a higher agent, whatever is done by nature must must needs be. Oh, I hate that. I'm just going to not even read it like that. Since nature works for a determinate end under the direction of a higher agent, whatever is done by nature must be traced back to God. Why do they put needs there? Must needs, it's a double thing. It's a double word. They're adding a word that's not conjugated correctly in between must be traced, must needs be traced.
They're British.
Retarded as to its first cause. So it's he's essentially just reiterating the fifth argument of the governance of the world here.
Yeah.
So also whatever is done voluntarily must also be traced back to some higher cause other than human reason or will, since these can change or fail. For all things that are changeable and capable of defect must be traced back to an immovable and self-necessary first principle, as was shown in the body of the article. Yeah. So he's referring back to the fifth way. Yeah, he essentially...
Well, it kind of goes back to what we were discussing at the top of the show, where I was just saying that, once you already posit nature, you're already positing first principles.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot posit...
Because nature is first.
Yeah, because nature is equivocal. And that which is equivocal must rest on that which is univocal.
Okay, so that's... We done with that? Do you have anything else to say about that?
No. I guess the one thing I do is... I think it's important to note that when he argues, because he does take the second objection. Hold on, let me look at it. Yeah, I think he does take the second objection a bit serious. So when you read the I answer that again, he does say that. How can I put it?
I think he did.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. In the second article, whether it can be demonstrated. And so, further, the essence in the middle term. Yeah, basically, objection 2 of the second article, where it talks about the middle term, that you can't really posit God there. I think what he's taken serious is that he's never arguing for God. He's arguing for first principle, and then he says, and this is what we call God. Right, and I think that part is important because through empiricism and through reason, what he is saying is that you could always come back down to a first principle. You could always posit that whatever it is, whether it is through motion, whether it is through efficient causation, or whether it is through possibility and necessity, or what was the other ones again? Through gradation, or through
governance of the world.
Governance. Yeah. You can always refer back to a first principle. And this first principle has to in itself not contain the same qualities as the things in which it is actualizing. And so that's what he's arguing. And I think what a lot of people look at this argument and look at the arguments about, well, these have to be slam dunks. They're not necessarily whole and complete. They're just a part of the further argumentation that he's going for. Because right now what he wants to say is that right now he argues for first principle. Yeah. And then he has to argue how is that first principle in existence? Like, well, what is this first principle? Is it many? Is it one? Does it have a body? And so on and so forth. And that's where the simplicity of God comes into play, because that's what I think when some like atheists read the 5 proofs, they're like, well, that doesn't, just because you argue the first principle doesn't mean that you're talking about the Christian God. And what Aquinas is saying is like, yes, we're not. We're just arguing first principle. Yeah. And we're giving it a label at this point. Because then later he talks about the names of God. So he doesn't even look at the word God as a name. He's looking at it as a label. Yeah. He says we have a definite description, first principle.
Because it's theos in Latin.
Theos, yeah, exactly. Deus.
Yeah.
Deus. In Greek is theos, but in Latin it would be Deus.
That's what I mean. He's using a word that originated amongst Greek. The Greeks.
Yes,
and they lived hundreds of years before. Before Christ, like.
And I do think that's just important to note, because he is taking that second objection in Article 2 serious. It's like, yes, we cannot argue God. We can't argue.
It is interesting that so Christians come from. Obviously are a chronological extension and refutation of, the Jewish tradition. Yes.
But also the Greeks.
Yes, but what I'm saying is interesting is that the lineage literally from Christ is not the Greeks; it's the Jews.
Yes,
The original,
exactly.
the
Yep.
Jews, whatever they were at the time. When
Yeah,
But the fact that Christianity extended from the Jews but adopted the Greek word
Yes.
for something that the word had nothing to do with the Jewish tradition at all.
Yes, yeah.
The fact that the word like Dios in Spanish
Yeah.
means God
Yeah.
is the fact that that's a Greek word
Yes.
is a weird,
It is, yeah.
or it's not weird. It's an impressive pivoting.
Yeah. And it goes back to like if you read older Western history books, they always call it the fullness of time. Because the fullness of time was that Christianity was not merely a like a historical unfolding of Judaism. It was that within this time period, it wasn't just the Jews, but the Greeks, the Romans, and the Persians were in this sphere that that Christianity became what it is.
Yeah.
And so this fullness of time was that it
It was all of these different.
it was, yes,
influences.
because it was basically like the dispute that that Paul had with Peter, where Peter wanted just to keep it with the Jews, and Paul was saying that no, it is for everybody.
Yeah.
And this
Well,
manifested.
his instinct was cultural to maintain its exclusivity
Yeah, for Peter.
because he's a Jew.
Yes.
Yeah.
But basically what Paul was saying was, and Paul was more correct, he was like, no, this isn't just an extension of Judaism.
Yeah.
Now, Judaism, the Jews were the chosen people for the Old Covenant, but with the New Covenant, it opened the door for the Greeks, it opened the doors for the Romans, it opened the doors for the Persians, it opened the doors for all these people. And this like central area where all these things happen is where it just spread, and it spread around the world.
Yeah.
And so that is just a very, very interesting idea, because I think when you, and I think this is mostly true with Protestants, and there are a lot of Catholics too. They no longer talk about the fullness of time.
Yeah.
They don't talk about this time period that was manifested necessarily through with the church and through God. It was like it was viewed that this was a divine time, that this time period was a necessary time period that that essentially brought about Christianity as we know it. That without the Greeks, without the Romans, without the Persians, it wouldn't exist. If it didn't have Augustine, that was in Algeria area, that was influenced by Manichaeism, which was Zoroastrianism.
He's literally from Algiers, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You wouldn't have Christianity. Like the influence that he had with Manichaeism and these other worldly religions was essential for the development of Christianity. That the Neoplatonists with people like Athanasius and Origen and them, these pivotal individuals were what made and expanded Christianity to be more true. That through this fullness of time,
They were incorporating something Christianity didn't.
that Jews
consider.
didn't consider. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Christianity is not just an extension of Judaism. Christianity is the fullness of time, and this is why now it's the year of our Lord, and that's why AD,
it's so. That's why any attitude of closedness,
yeah,
of intellectual exclusivity and isolation is so dangerous
Yeah.
to Christianity, because that's antithetical.
it is, yeah,
The idea that, because that's obviously many popes over the course of history have stated in a number of different ways of varying efficaciousness
yeah,
that other faiths can be partly true.
yes, of course, yeah,
Obviously.
yeah,
That's something that upsets a lot of people. Like if Francis says something about
I know,
how,
yeah.
but they
Especially the
don't.
conservatives really. pisses
But
them off.
that's an anti-Christian attitude to not to. I can't conceive, or I can't imagine being a fan of Aquinas and then being mad at a pope for saying, "Oh, Muslims are right about some things."
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like Aristotle was a pagan, dude.
Yes.
Like,
And not only that, he calls, Avicenna a master in
Yeah.
philosophy. Like he adheres to Avicenna as well as Al-Farabi and Averroes as being legitimate theologians for the Christian faith.
yeah.
And so, yeah, this
so
has
weird.
always existed within Christianity. This is not like a liberal thing. No, Christianity was always in that mode.
And again, it's a very American thing.
It is, yeah.
You know, American Catholicism is very weird.
It's very Protestant. Yeah, there's a thing
No,
in the end.
That's actually something interesting. Is I don't obviously won't name names. There's many examples. I don't think that American cradle Catholics really see how Protestant they are.
Yes,
I don't think
agree.
they have any idea.
Even a lot of converts.
I just don't. I don't think that. I think if you're American, it's really
Mm-hmm.
difficult to assess how Protestant
Yeah.
your outlook is.
And I think that's why many times they get along with Protestants. Someone like Matt Walsh.
It's long Protestant.
Yeah. Like he doesn't really argue against them. He doesn't call them heretics. He just kind of
Michael Knowles.
I know. Michael Knowles with his Italian background.
He very regularly wants to call them heretics.
Yes, and he does explicitly call them heretics, especially when they're going off the rails, and then he feels liberated to say it.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I'd agree with him personally on
Yeah.
almost everything.
I think so. Yeah.
Because when he talks about
I think he'll be great to have on the show.
eventually
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now,
Yeah, hopefully quicker than that.
after he's started his own thing that isn't the Daily Wire anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, when a lot of the the more traditionalists, like what's his name? Anyways,
Who?
there's a lot of them. Like
You
Peter
mean
Kreeft.
like a Taylor Marshall kind of guy? Or
Yeah,
like
that too. Yeah, like Taylor Marshall. Man.
He has the physiognomy of a clay model stop animation
I know.
character.
I think he drives me crazy more than anybody. It's hard for me to watch him. It's hard. I mean, he's just so
Wrong and
Yes.
arrogant.
Yes. His anti-popeness is just like you just gotta.
Because that's something I think it would be worth discussing.
Yeah.
Is saying the words "I submit to the church" is not enough.
Yeah.
You can't criticize church clergy up to and including the Pope with any degree of harshness you want, and then say respectfully.
Right,
And
yes,
then that somehow make
Well, the
justify any claim.
I
you had.
remember, like, I was talking to Matt about this because he's that way, right?
Your friend Matt, not
Yeah.
Matt Walsh.
Yeah, no, yeah, my friend Matt, and
Not your friend Matt.
And so what he said was, he tries then to give me examples of people that did it. He was like, "Well, Saint Francis did that. He stripped naked in front of the bishop." Blah blah. I was like, "Yeah, but Francis was a clergyman."
Yeah,
The thing is that we think
that was his place to do that.
Yes, we think that as lay people, we have the authority to do that. We really don't. Like, if you wanted to fix that, you really then should have became a priest. You should have been a clergyman. You should have entered that world, because now you have more legitimacy to try to correct whatever
And
wrong
it's
that you
and
see.
when you say legitimacy, you don't just mean perceived legitimacy. You mean
No.
legitimacy.
Yes,
You literally are more. You are a more legitimate authority.
yes, because
as to how.
as a father and husband, your legitimacy is with your family. Like, you are the head of your household.
Yeah.
And so you dictate the correct truth to your children, to your wife, or if you want to do it to your parents or your cousin, like, you have there, that's your place, because you have chosen that. You have chosen to be a married person. And so because of that, that is where your criticism and your truth lies. But then to say that I'm going to change that while you're a lay person is like that. No, that is not your place. You want to change it.
Like, you show up
Become
and
a
take
bishop.
the Eucharist.
Yes,
Like,
that's what it is.
That's
Yeah,
what you do now.
yeah. If you really wanted to change it, then you should have became a bishop. It's the same issue that I have with people, with those people that were protesting Wall Street. It's like, if you really want to change it, fucking work at Wall Street.
Yeah.
You really want to change these things, then get into politics, do something. because now you're legitimate in there. But if you're just out there bitching, it's like, what are you doing?
You're just bitching.
You're just bitching. And you are making yourself angry.
Well,
You're not
yeah,
adhering to the actual authority. Like like Catholicism is not a democracy. Catholicism isn't like, I'm going to give my input and it's ran by the people and then you have to listen to me because I am more close to the truth than you. It's like, that's not Catholicism. Catholicism is a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You have bishops, you have cardinals, you have popes. Pope.
Popes at different times,
Yeah,
but
right,
one
right,
pope
yeah,
at a time. Yeah.
And you have to submit yourself to that authority.
Yeah.
You're not somebody who just can go in there and try to rile things up. You're again, when you have your vocation and you take the sacrament serious of being married, your authority ends with your family.
Mm-hmm.
You're not an authority in a church. Period.
Yeah.
And so you could criticize your family if they're doing things wrong. You could try to fix that. You could do whatever. You could try to find the best ways to maneuver through your life as a husband and a wife. That is where your authority belongs, not to the bishop. Like I know there's one crazy lady that went to a conference of bishops and she was like on the escalators just yelling at them. It's like, what do you think you're doing? You're nothing.
It's just,
absolutely nothing.
You can't act like that and then tell me you submit.
Yeah,
to
of
the
course.
church.
Yeah. You're being deliberately disobedient.
Yeah.
It's like a child who yells at their parents.
Mm-hmm.
There's an authority. Be respectful. And so like giving examples of other clergymen, I think is insufficient to try to justify one's own.
Well, if you have the same agency in the church as a clergyman,
Yeah.
why be a clergyman?
Exactly.
Why can they?
Yeah.
Why can they? Distribute the sacraments to people.
Yes, and why can't you?
Well, there's a difference in kind there.
Yes, yeah. If the priest tells me, no, you have to do X, Y, and Z, I say, okay. So that's it. I'm not going to argue with it. Why would I argue if the bishop says it? Okay, because that is my place. And you have to understand that you have to submit yourself, because if you don't, you're nothing more than a Protestant.
And just saying you submit yourself
It's not actually submitting
is not
yourself.
actually submitting yourself.
Yeah, there has to be the actual action of that, and it might be painful. But if the bishop wanted my opinion,
I've seen multiple people
yeah,
in the last several weeks argue that the Pope is like a penance for sin.
right, yeah.
Like, I don't even remember the way the argument was presented, but essentially that the current church hierarchy is corrupt, and it's a penance for sin that they are corrupt.
Yeah.
God, the Holy Spirit installed them in their positions of authority as a punishment, and therefore I submit because I'm willing to pay my penance.
Right, yeah.
It's like, no.
yeah.
No.
Yes, yeah. Like, no, that's not the way it
That's
works.
insane.
Yeah, I know. Yes, that's definitely not the way it works.
No, that's could you say much worse
Right, yeah.
about the Pope than that? No, the Pope is so bad he must just be a penance for sin, and therefore to convince myself that I'm actually submitting when I'm not, I'm just going to call it submitting for the sake of paying penance. Like, no.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to you don't make the rules, dude.
Yes, yeah, exactly. No, the anger that so many people like Taylor Marshall has against the Pope is just it's just very upsetting.
It's juvenile.
And I know way too many people that way. They're all the same type of conservative.
But none of them are non-Americans.
I know. Yeah, they're all Americans.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. It's like you have to acknowledge the hierarchy. I don't even know how else to say that.
Not
It's
even
like,
acknowledge, is you have to do everything.
you have to actually submit to the hierarchy, yeah. Because that's what they are. If a bishop ever came to me and wanted to discuss with me, then I discuss. But if he didn't, I have no authority to go to him. I just don't. I chose to be married. And so that is my vocation. I did not go into the priesthood. I didn't become a Monsignor. There's no way for me to ever become a doctor of the church. There's no way. And there's a different life that I live, right? And so it's just I don't know. It's just upsetting. It's like I don't see how they don't notice that. It's like there's a difference in kind.
Well, it's because they're incapable of recognizing their own anti-church sentiments that are like ethnically instinctual.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember like some people talk about, well, the Pope said is okay for, what was that bishop in California that argued against him?
The Italian guy.
Yeah. But then you look at it, I was like, yes.
Not argued against him. He was the one who denied Pelosi communion.
But then I look at him.
He was like, dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
He had like a super Italian name.
But this guy is a bishop.
Yeah.
You know, he gets to do that.
Yeah.
If he thinks that the Pope is doing something wrong,
well, also
he can
he's
write a
doing
letter
that matters practically.
Exactly. Yes.
He can refuse people. You don't get to refuse anybody.
You
communion.
don't. Yeah. You don't. And so
people like that you just have to admit you know better than Pope.
That's what they think. Yeah.
Well, you have to admit that. You can't. You're lying if you say that's not the case.
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay. If you didn't think that, you wouldn't say anything you say at all.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't talk.
No. Yeah, I agree. I think someone like Dr. Taylor Marshall, that he really does think that. There's no way you could watch him and think that he doesn't think that he knows better than a Pope.
Yeah. But he would say he does. Oh, no. I
know,
still submit.
Yeah, it's like, no,
it's like,
this is a healthy criticism. You know, there's a line in which you could exist. Like, no. You really think that you know better than a Pope. I mean, just fucking admit it at that point.
Yeah.
You think you have some kind of authority to go against him. And you really, really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the vicar of Christ. You don't. I don't care how fucked up the Pope. I don't care if he impregnated like 10 nuns.
Yeah.
I have no authority over the Pope. You pray for him, and they're like, okay.
Well, I wonder what those people's weird thing is.
I really do think that they want to have that authority.
No, I wonder what their weird thing is that they hide.
Or the popes?
No, the people who criticize the Pope like that. Like, what
I think it's just pride. I don't think they've been hiding it. I really do think it's just pure and utter hubris.
You don't think they do anything weird?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do
well,
think...
they ain't fucking. So.
Yes, yeah. I think that they just...
What about that? So anybody who spends too much time criticizing the Pope is like a pussy repeller? No comment?
No comment.
Like, hey, I bet if you fucked a little, it wouldn't matter nearly as much.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Me is saying who's someone who doesn't do that, but
I know, yeah.
I at least have an intimate experience of a simulation of that, but it's the same,
right,
the
yes.
same kind of.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you got some, you probably wouldn't worry about what the Pope is doing nearly as much.
Yeah, probably not.
Anyway, should we move into the...
Sure. How long have we been recording?
It's like an hour 15.
Okay.
Not long. We killed that. We got some... All right, so this is Summa Theologica Prima Partis, question 3. The next thing is on the simplicity of God. So this is on divine simplicity. Mm-hmm. And would you care to give us a 2-minute little thing on what divine simplicity means?
I actually think that this part, as well as question 4 and 5, are, I shouldn't say more important, but they're more impactful than the 5 proofs that so many people focus on.
Do you think this is? Do you think they're better argued? Do you think?
I don't know if I think they're better argued, but it's like reading arguments for first principle is important. Obviously, just fundamentally that you have to acknowledge as the first principle. But this is where it becomes indisputable of why Catholicism is correct.
Well, that's also to me. In my limited understanding, because I've skimmed this. I've never gone through any of this before.
Yeah.
I think I have learned the conclusions of what this has to say pretty intimately, but I haven't ever actually read it.
Yes. I just think reading the
But
5 proofs.
this is more specific to Christianity than
it is, yeah.
merely a first principle. This is
Yeah.
starting to define what
Christianity, and I would say Mohammedanism.
This is what
Jews,
at least the originally Semitic religions,
Yes.
their view specifically. So we've this, what the question 2 is. Could you say, the Deus est is essentially definitionally that we're defining that there is a first principle
Yeah.
to be considered at all.
Yes.
And then these questions, what's 4 exactly? Do you remember?
No, the perfection of God.
Yeah.
perfection
These
itself,
start to consider what that first principle is from our perspective.
Yes, yeah. So the way I view the first part is almost, if anybody has ever taken like Euclidean geometry, it's almost like
What does that mean?
oh, so yeah, Euclid geometry book. I think it's like a volume. I don't remember how many volumes it is. And so when you look at the first proof is the existence of triangles, and it begins with axioms and postulates. And so you're saying that, given a line which has 2 points, A and B, you can prove that from a line, that the most base shape from any given line will be triangles. And then every other shape that you create is created through triangles. And so, it shows that you do the circumference of the line, and you do the other one, and then from there you connect the crossing point of the 2 circles, and with line AC and BC, and then from there. So it's a very basic proof. You look at it, it's like, oh yes, that's obvious. It's basic.
By Euclidean geometry, do you mean basic geometry?
No, by Euclid.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Because that sounded to me like very basic geometry.
Oh, is it? No, it gets more advanced.
No, I'm sure it does.
It's all Euclidean geometry, but it's just but I think more people do contemporary geometry, which turns everything into numbers. And so Euclid wasn't numbers; it actually used letters and shapes.
So maybe I would love that.
I loved it.
I hate numbers.
I know. Yes. No. I thrive
because like algebra is numbers.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
That was the first time that I surprised everybody. So I was kind of like a quiet kid in school, and I mostly played sports and flirted with women. And so that really was my
quietly.
Yes, that was my no. I mean, I'll flirt with them openly, but like in class, I wouldn't disrupt because my mom would kick my ass, right?
Yeah.
But in my spare time, then I'll just go flirt with the women and everything. So that's what people knew me as, right? That's who I was.
Still are.
So nobody really thought of me as an academic. I was a jock that loved women, and so. The funny part about this was that so Euclid, you could get up like to 5-page proofs. Like it gets really, really complex. And I knew that Dr. Hippler wanted to fuck me over. I just knew it, right? So it was like the first, I think it was like a 3 or 4 page proof.
Yeah.
It was like so what he did was that every day he would cause somebody to go to the board without the book, and you would have to prove a Euclidean proof on the board. And if you fail, you look like an idiot, and he docks you grades. Like it was really intense.
Hell
and
yeah,
so,
dude.
so I was there, and I just knew it. And I remember I was telling my friends, I was like, he's gonna call me today. He didn't call me like the entire semester so far. I'm one of the last ones. This is a hard proof. He always wrote on my report cards coasting.
You probably were.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, he's going to. I just knew that he was going to do it. And so I looked at it, and all I did was look at the question. So they give you a question, then you have to prove that question. Mm-hmm. So I looked at it. I was like, so I tried to memorize it. And I have a horrible memory. And anybody knows me, like if I park my car, I don't know where I parked. Like my memory.
You're very bad at
memorizing
stuff. Yeah.
So I was trying to do it. I was like, fuck, it's not going to happen. I came to school. So it was overnight. So I came to school. It's like, I don't know. And so I said, well, maybe if I just understand the question.
Yeah.
So I read the question. It was lunchtime, and I was like, okay. I just closed it and I put it away. Right? He's gonna call me. What can I do at this point? Right?
Yeah.
What can I do? And so, so then he calls me. Right? He was like, hey, Jeremy, go on the board and show proof, whatever number it was, like proof 25 or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I went on the board, and so I just wrote down the question because that one I was able to remember because it's like a one-liner.
Yeah.
So okay, from square of A and B, prove that the square from square in C and B is equal to whatever. And so I was like, okay, I have to understand this question. So I stood there and I was just like, had my the chalk in my hand. I was looking, I was like, okay. So I just started to show the proof, and I did it all through logic. Like nothing was memorized, and people's mouths were agape. So I guess like everyone was looking. Even Dr. Hipley was like, "What's going on?" But it took me a while because I was figuring it out as I was going. Right, so it took me the whole class to do it, and then I finally did it. I was like, "And there," and then he was like. He actually clapped. He was like, "Good job. That was a long one." And then after class, he was like, "So I really got to know, like, what did you do to get that? How did you study?" I was like, "I just didn't study." And then he looked at me and was like, "No, seriously, what'd you do?" I was like, "I'm being serious. I didn't study. I looked at the question and I just used logic in order to figure it out." And then that was the point that I myself even realized that I have a capacity for this.
Yeah.
And then after that semester, I took logic class, and everything was just starting to come to me. I was like, "Wow, this is easy." Like I get it. I could do these long, second order modal logic, predicate logic. I could do all the equations, could cover the entire board. It's like, this is simple. This is pretty easy.
What does this have to do? Where did we tangent from?
I don't even remember. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it was tangent because
I'd love to talk about how amazing you are.
You were
for the
asking
rest
me
of the evening.
You were asking about Euclidean geometry.
Oh, okay.
And so anybody that knows about Euclidean geometry,
Okay.
I think that the question of God's existence is similar to that first basic proof.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It is that yes, it's important. It's important to know how to construct a triangle, and I would say it's important to know that there is first principle, but the more complex proofs actually begin to unpack, I think, more intimate, more true, and more interesting things to know about God. And this is the beginning of it. And so when you see divine simplicity, it is such an important aspect of the entire philosophical ideas of first principles that, even when you talk to the contemporary atheists, they would have to say that first principles has to be simple without parts. And so that's why it's important. Same thing as the measurement of perfection. Perfection itself, and good. He goes into goodness in general and goodness itself. Then he goes to the names of God and so on and so forth. Like all of these, everything that comes afterwards that very few people read, I would say, it's so mind blowing that then when you go back to that, it's almost like constructing a triangle again. Yeah. So to go back to the five proofs, it's
even
like, yes.
I, as far as what I understand, could be camera one. I'm amazed. I've been watching these like various wine corkscrews. I'm just, anyway. No, I wish I had that wonder left in me, but even in that question too, the first part of the Summa, he actually expands on those more in Summa Contra Gentiles.
He does,
and in various other writings. That was all. It was a very brief.
It was
shotgunning of those ideas.
Yes,
he actually has quite a bit more to say about those.
Yeah.
Before we hit this, could we change the little slide screen so I can go pee really quick? Is that a weird thing to interrupt, or you just want the camera on you sitting silently? If I have to pee bad enough.
Oh, you have to pee really bad?
Yeah, you could just...
Okay, you could just keep it on me.
No, I'm saying you can get the little screen thing, can't you? Or have we not tried that?
We haven't.
Okay. We might have to try it. Yeah, just do that, and then I'll be back.
All right.
We're back. Okay. Sorry.
Is it still working? Oh, it is. Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're good. People came right back. That's so funny. It's like, oh, no, we lost viewers. And then they're back. They timed it. All right. So we're going to get into this. We're an hour and a half in.
Should at least cover the beginning.
Wow, my volume's all the way up for no reason. I didn't turn it up. Anyway. So, Summa Theologica, Prima Partis, question 3.
Mm-hmm.
On the simplicity of God, the simplicity of God's first article is whether God is a body. And upon reading this, I thought the objections were like comedically simplistic.
Did you not have this part where he explains it?
No, do you want to read? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Or how far is it? How much is?
He kind of sets up what he's going to do.
Oh, why would that not be included?
I don't know.
Because this is from like an official
Website, yeah.
an official article. So
Yeah.
When the so the setup for the question is when the existence of a thing has been ascertained, there remains the further question of the manner of its existence in order that we may know its essence. So when we say existence, we mean being.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, because we cannot know what God is, but rather what he is not, we have no means for considering how God is, but rather how he is not. Which is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Now it can be shown how God is not by denying of him whatever is opposed to the idea of him, viz., which I don't remember how to say that exactly, but composition, motion, and the like. Therefore, 1, we must discuss his simplicity whereby we deny composition in him, and because whatever is simple in material things is imperfect and a part of something else, we shall discuss. So is material existence. Material existence is never perfect.
Right, yeah.
Okay, yeah. 2, his perfection. 3, his infinity. 4, his immutability. And 5, his unity. Concerning his simplicity, there are 8 points of inquiry. 1, whether God is a body. 2, whether he is composed of matter and form. 3, whether in him there is composition of quiddity. What is quiddity?
Oh, I know that one. Essence, I think.
Quiddity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, come back to that. Essence or nature and subject. Whether he is 4, whether he is composed of essence,
Just push that.
essence and existence. 5, whether he is composed of genus and difference. 6, whether he is composed of subject and accident. 7, whether he is in any way composite or wholly simple. And 8, whether he enters into composition with other things. So those are the 8 articles.
Yeah, so I was right. Essence. The inherent nature, essence of something.
Quiddity. So whether so 3 is whether in him there is composition of quiddity,
Essence, yeah.
essence or nature.
Yep, yeah.
And subject. Okay. That's the whole little preamble. So Article 1, first sub-question, or is whether God is a body. So whether God is a body is whether
it's a physical thing.
God is a physical
like the
thing that
boson
exists.
particle.
Yeah. First objection, it seems that God is a body. For a body is that which has 3 dimensions, but his holy scripture attributes the 3 dimensions to God, for it is written, he is higher than heaven, and what wilt thou do? He is deeper than hell, and how wilt thou know? The measure of him is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. This is from Job 8 through 8 and 9. Therefore, God is a body. So it's essentially, the Bible attributes to him dimensions,
yes,
so therefore he's a body.
Yeah. It's a good
Which,
one.
yes, to me, I was just like, haha. That was just like, okay.
Yeah.
2, which is of similar depth, objection 2, is further everything that has figure is a body, since figure is a quality of quantity, but God seems to have figure, for it is written, let us make man to our image and likeness. Genesis 1:26. Now a figure is called an image according to the text, who being the brightness of his glory and the figure, i.e. the image of his substance. Hebrews 1:3, therefore God is a body. So it's essentially we're made in God's image and we're physical things, so therefore God is physical, is a body.
Yes.
Which is again objection 3. Further, whatever has corporeal parts is a body. Now Scripture attributes corporeal parts to God. Hast thou an arm like God? Job 44. And the eyes of the Lord are upon the just. Psalm 33:16. And the right hand of the Lord hath wrought strength. Psalm 117:16. therefore God is a body. So it's essentially God is described as having physical parts,
Yeah.
therefore he is a body. Again, objection 4. Further, posture belongs only to bodies, but something which supposes posture is said of God in the scriptures. I saw the Lord sitting, Isaiah 6:1, and he standeth up to judge, Isaiah 3:13. Therefore God is a body. He can sit and he can stand, therefore he's a body. Objection for this. I remember seeing this. I remember reading this first time, being like, "Wow, the bar is lower on this one." Objection 5.
Yeah.
Further, only bodies or things corporeal can be a local term where from or where to, but in the scriptures, God is spoken of as a local term where to, according to the words, "Come ye to him and be enlightened," Psalm 33:6, and as a term where from. All they that depart from thee shall be written in the earth, Jeremiah 17:13. So it's essentially, well, we can come from God. So from is a physical thing. So therefore he must be a body somewhere if we can come from him. Especially, but then Aquinas says, on the contrary, it is written in the Gospel of St. John, John 4:24, God is a spirit. Which I think is beautiful. He gets these little slam dunk things.
Yeah.
Very funny. Do you think he knew he was doing that?
I think on the contrary ones, yeah. It's like a quick
Nope.
commentary.
Okay. So I answer that. So Aquinas answers that to these. It is absolutely true that God is not a body, and this can be shown in 3 ways. First, no body is in motion unless it be put in motion, as is evident from induction. Now it has been already proven. 1, 3, 2. What does that mean?
Question 2, Article 3.
That's an I. What is the word? I wonder what the word is. Inquisition? I wonder what the word is in Latin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inquiry 2, question 3. That God is the first mover and is himself unmoved. Therefore, it's clear that God is not a body. So bodies are all constantly in motion and require motion from another.
Yeah.
Secondly, because the first being must be of necessity. Okay. The first being must of necessity be an act. I hate English. And in no way in potentiality. I'm just going to cue language nerds in the audience. At a certain point, I have to come up with a cue instead of spurging over stuff for 20 minutes. I can just, express my irritation briefly. Okay. For although in any single thing that passes from potentiality to actuality, the potentiality is prior in time to the actuality. Nevertheless, absolutely speaking, actuality is prior to potentiality. For whatever is in potentiality can be reduced into actuality only by some being in actuality. Now it has been already proven that God is the first being. It is therefore impossible that in God there should be any potentiality, but every body is in potentiality because the continuous as such is divisible to infinity. It is therefore impossible that God should be a body. So it's essentially God is this just attributing pure actuality to God?
Yeah, it's saying that in order to be a first principle, it can't have any potentiality, because if it has potentiality, it wouldn't be a first principle, because then something else in state of actuality must have actualized it. And so, so he's attributing this first part of what it means to be simple, meaning that you have no potentiality at all.
Okay. Thirdly, the third way that God is not a body is proven by, because God is the most noble of things. So what do you mean by noble? As in perfect?
Yeah, it goes back to proof, the proof that you liked in terms of measurement.
Yeah, it's the most noble, meaning the most perfect form of a thing.
It means it's the measurement of anything that is noble. He is nobleness itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it is impossible for a body to be the most noble of things. For a body must be either animate or inanimate, and an animate body is manifestly nobler than an inanimate body. But an animate body is not animate precisely as body, otherwise all bodies would be animate. Therefore, its animation depends upon some other thing, as our body depends for its animation on the soul. Hence, that by which a body becomes animated must be nobler than the body. Therefore, it is impossible that God should be a body. It's if God were a body, there would have to be something nobler than the body to animate it.
Yes, yeah. Then it wouldn't be
He wouldn't be.
the measurement of what it means to be noble.
Anselm's thing is a little tiny baby bit invoked here.
It is, yes, yeah. I think fully in the end it is.
I know.
Yeah.
I just don't want to give credit to an argument I think is annoying, but even though I recognize that it's correct. I'm gonna pour more port really quick before I keep reading, but this port is so much better.
Is it?
Do you want to taste it a tiny bit?
I wouldn't taste good to me right now.
Why?
The mucus and everything.
El moco.
Yeah.
So what is objection one? Objection one is
I love Kirkland's port, though. I've had it.
It's really good.
It's one of the best that I've, yeah.
It's like $15.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know who makes really good one is that place. I don't know if they still make it.
They make it here?
I think they did.
Who?
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they imported it from somewhere.
It couldn't be. They can't. It's not.
Yeah,
called,
you
it can't
can't.
be. It can't be called port if it's not from Portugal.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so they must have imported it. So they sold one that was really good. Was grape something?
Grape?
Yeah.
Crush?
Crush.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Crush.
They had some. They had a really
They're
good
still around.
40.
That was Anne Marie in my place.
Was it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anne Marie and I would have been incredible.
Yes.
As far as if
Now
I
she's
was
with another dude.
if I was attracted to women,
I know.
it's a whole thing. But you just objectively like, wow.
Have you spoken to her lately?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
we talk all the time. No, I mean not all the time. We're living in different cities, but
Yeah.
it's weird to like objectively know that you could have been like an extremely powerful pair of people.
I know. That's why you need to go for it.
The women deserve to have people that are attracted to them. In a sense.
I guess.
I couldn't properly please a woman.
I don't know.
I don't care enough to properly please a woman. Even if it was the year 1200 AD and I had to take one
Yeah.
for the team and produce children, like that, she wouldn't enjoy that as much as she could. Like, let's get this.
I think it might be worth taking it for the team.
Let's get this over with.
Producing babies.
I don't
and
feel like
everything.
it's rude to women to be like, let's get this over with. I have to do this thing for God. I
really don't like it. Can we start with the asshole first?
Yeah. Oh my God. Can I close my eyes the entire time?
Yeah.
No, it's just I don't. It's women that beautiful
Mm-hmm.
should just have people that enjoy them for it. That's fine. I don't need to. That's fine.
But then you could have forced yourself to enjoy it. If you're recognizing
No.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a weird way to talk about a co-host. The next co-host. She and I talk about it's so funny. It's just like, yeah, we'd be married if it was the year 1250 AD.
Yes. Be a good time.
I know. Reply to objection one.
Those days were just seem so great.
Which one? Oh,
I think like 11, 12, 1300s.
Oh yeah,
Are probably was some like historically some of my favorite eras. If you were a nobleman,
dude.
I wouldn't want to be a peasant.
Oh no.
Yeah, but as a nobleman,
Medically speaking,
yeah.
I've been looking. I'm really obsessed with the idea of visiting Malta.
Ooh, yes.
The last couple of months.
Yeah. The extremely Catholic.
They're 84,
Yep.
83%.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about? Do you know about
Yeah.
their language they speak and stuff?
It's
Fascinating.
Is it?
So they speak. It's a Semitic language.
Mm.
It's actually like it's a branch of Arabic
Okay. Yeah.
that they speak. Well, they also speak Italian.
Yeah.
It's Maltese and English are the two official languages.
Yeah.
But their Maltese is a form of Sicilian Arabic, which is as far as
nice,
anyone
yeah.
who doesn't have an extremely intimate knowledge of medieval history should be
Yeah.
like a weird like Sicilian Arabic.
So it's probably like
Because-
closer to Augustine's speech.
Yes, but what
Yeah.
happened?
Latin, but Arabic. Yeah.
Yeah, no. What happened is because he would have spoken Arabic.
Yes. He
I mean,
wrote,
yeah,
he
yeah,
wrote
yeah.
in Latin, but yeah.
Yeah, he would yeah, but there was a 200-year period where not the Moors, but some Arabic, Semitic
Yeah.
influence ruled part of Sicily and I think Italy and Malta.
Oh, okay.
But then I think it was the French next conquered Malta. So in like the year 1100 something, Malta spoke whatever form of Arabic they spoke at the time,
Yeah.
and then were cut off from the Arabic world for the rest of history.
Yeah.
But they continue to speak their language. So their vocabulary is like 30% Arabic for like very basic language.
Yeah.
50% Italian, 10 to 20% English, and then the rest of it is various other sources, various other etymologies.
Yeah.
And you listen to it, and it sounds like Italian Arabic.
That's
it's
it. Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. I know I've heard the language, but I never
It's
didn't do
just
any
because I
research
know
on
that
it.
it's mutually like I'm trying to remember what the numbers are.
Yeah.
It's like the closest relative is Tunisian Arabic.
Oh, okay.
And Maltese speakers can understand about 30% of spoken Tunisian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then Tunisians can understand about 40% of spoken Maltese.
Yeah.
And that's the closest. It's just this weird, it's not considered under the umbrella of like the 30 other Arabic languages that
Right.
compose that language family.
Yeah.
It's like a separate thing.
Oh, okay.
And it's an isolate. It's so
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Because you look at it and it looks like Morocco.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it looks beautiful.
But they have some of the most beautiful cathedrals I've
Yeah, I
ever
know,
seen photos
yeah.
of. It's like I could live.
It's
I could
pretty
do that.
funny those smaller areas throughout Europe, because even in Italy, where my friend was from, they speak Friuli, which is not Italian.
No.
It's like it has a lot of German influence in the language and everything. It's pretty
There's
interesting.
27 Romance languages.
Yeah,
Here's the number.
yeah, it's kind of
Like
incredible.
Halician has nothing to do with
Right, yeah.
Portuguese or Spanish.
Yeah,
Catalan has
yeah,
Occitan has nothing to do with it.
yeah,
Genoese has like Genoese is like a totally
Genoese.
different thing.
yeah.
Venetian,
Yeah.
Venice something is a different one. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
there's a
it's
bunch of
pretty-
them in France.
It's pretty interesting. I thought, like, living there and then just seeing the languages. But yeah, Malta is. I want to see. I want to see San Marino. That's another like heavy Catholic area.
Well, that's also it's just like another Vatican almost.
Yeah,
It's another little microstate in Italy.
it's so amazing. I think
Monaco would be super cool.
Monaco. Yeah.
Let's move the show to Malta.
Oh yes.
It's one of the cheaper places in Europe to live.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to go there.
One bedroom apartments are like $700.
Oh really?
In Malta? You
Yeah.
look at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like beige. Like you look at a city in Turkey and the whole thing is sun bleached and beige.
Oh right. Yeah.
Malta's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Looks like a 007 James Bond movie location.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the next thing? Is it 2? No, we haven't even gotten to the objections.
No. Yeah.
Again, so this whole season is going to bleed together. Yeah, I went through these whole things. So the first objection is it says that God is high, deep, and long.
Yeah.
Therefore, God must be a body because attributed to him are dimensions.
Yeah.
As we have said above, Inquiry 1:9, Holy Writ puts before us spiritual and divine things under the comparison of corporeal things. So this is essentially that language is allegorical.
Yeah.
Hence, when it attributes to God the 3 dimensions under the composition of corporeal quantity, it implies his virtual quantity. Thus, by depth, it signifies his power of knowing hidden things. By height, the transcendence of his excelling power. By length, the duration of his existence, meaning being. By breadth, his active love for all. Or as says Dionysius, something 9. By the depth of God is meant the incomprehensibility of his essence. By length, the procession of his all-pervading power. By breadth, his overspreading all things, inasmuch as all things lie under his protection. So this is essentially that
It's just saying that
that language is allegorical.
Yeah, the Bible is not. You shouldn't take that literally.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I think, the response to everything.
Yeah, the reply to objection 2 is man is said to be after the image of God, not as regards his body, but as regards that whereby he excels other animals. So it's essentially the intellect.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we've discussed before. I think maybe the philosophy of mind episode on Phaser's philosophy of mind,
Yeah.
which I think was the first episode of season 3.
Was it? Wow.
That's disgusting. That was 35 episodes ago.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Wow. It's impressive.
Yeah, I think we opened season 3 on philosophy of mind. It was like a 3 hour 45-minute episode. We open all these.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's so horrible that it was 35 episodes. It was 35 weeks ago.
Yeah.
36, 37, whatever number it is. Hence, when it is said, "Let us make man to our image and likeness," it is added, "and let him have dominion over the fishes of the sea." Genesis 1:26. Now man excels all animals by his reason and intelligence. Hence, it is according to his intelligence and reason which are incorporeal that man is said to be according to the image of God. So it's essentially that when it is said in Scripture that man is created in the image of God, it has literally nothing to do with his corporeal
Right. Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
It's entirely referring to his capacity for reason,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is something we go
Yeah.
into. I think in that Phaser's philosophy of mind, or maybe in D'Anima,
Maybe.
in one of those,
Yeah.
we go for a while on that.
Yeah.
So if you want more expansion, that would probably be worth listening. But reply to objection 3. I want to make sure that I'm keeping these objections. So further, so that corporeal parts of a body are attributed to God. Is corporeal parts are attributed to God in Scripture on his account, kind of his actions, and this is owing to a certain parallel. For instance, the act of the eye is to see, hence eye attributed to God. Hence the eye attributed to God signifies his power of seeing intellectually, not sensibly, and so on other parts. Objection 4, whatever pertains to posture, so the sitting and the standing thing, also is only attributed to God by some sort of parallel. He is spoken of as sitting on account of his unchangeableness and dominion, and as standing on account of his power of overcoming whatever withstands him. Objection 5, we draw near to God by no corporeal steps, since he is everywhere, but by the affections of our soul, and by the actions of that same soul do we withdraw from him. Thus, to draw near or to withdraw signifies merely spiritual actions based on the metaphor of locomotion.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't have anything more to say to that.
No, basically everything it says is quit taking it literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think I don't even know if all Catholics know that.
Yeah, there's many that don't.
Do you think that many contemporary Catholics take it very literally? Or?
I think there's plenty of them that do, yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah.
The 6,000-year creationist people. And
Yes, yeah. You think we should stop there?
you want to?
Kind of.
Okay.
I'm pretty sick.
You want to be done?
No, we could bullshit a little bit, but
Okay. So we'll just cover the first article of this one.
yeah.
There's 7 more articles, so hopefully you're feeling better for next week.
Yeah.
And we can kill a couple more. This one is I'm kind of debating. So this
Yeah.
is actually kind of a question to listeners I trust,
Yeah.
and you know who you are if I've asked your opinion before of things. I'm not trying to be exclusive, but I don't care about most people's opinion of how I do this, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to name how we should scheme this. If it just should be question 3, part 1, part 2, part 3, or like I can figure it out.
Oh, I see.
I don't know how dedicated we are to this being like a specific study of this material, or if
Yeah.
it's just a skeleton, or
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking about how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is probably going to last us 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The
it is.
question 3.
Yeah.
Maybe. And again, I don't.
It's gonna last us a while.
If it's all that fast,
Yeah.
if this question is all as fast as the first article,
Right. Yeah.
then no. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And that might be something I can decide later. But
But yeah,
anyway,
I don't know.
did you have other things to talk about, or
Maybe.
should I talk about Malta more? I'm really obsessed with Malta
Yeah,
for some
yeah.
reason, and I think it's like seriously, if I could just like vacation anywhere on Earth right this second, it would be Malta.
Yeah.
And
What made you look it up?
I'm trying to remember. So there's this thing I do at work where it's my favorite. One of my favorite websites on Earth is Jetpunk.
Oh, okay.
Jetpunk.com, and it's it's like a quiz website, and I do it instead of like, I play like solitaire or Minesweeper if I'm really really bored at work and I need like a break for a second. There's stuff like that, but then like the Jetpunk thing is, it's like it has a prompt and they're like user submitted quizzes, or it's like a quiz website, and they give you, every quiz has a dedicated amount of time, and it's a prompt. So if they're like, name all of, like, they'll be like, it'll show the top 20 flags in the world with the highest percentage of blue. Name all the countries.
Oh, okay.
And it will show all the flags. And you just name them all. Or like, it'll say like top 20 countries that are the closest to the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot of like geography and like history stuff, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But like, I remember seeing something about, it was like highest percentage of Catholics in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And like I was just looking through I was just looking at all the different countries, and I just was looking at pictures of Malta, and it like weirded me out.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's cathedrals built on the wall to the beach.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like 356 churches
Wow.
within 100 square miles.
That's amazing.
And then I started looking at pictures of like St. John's Co-Cathedral or something in Valletta, which is the little peninsula capital city.
Yeah.
And there's icons paint like on the floor.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And like their cathedrals have icons all over the floor.
Yeah. That's
like
weird.
grids of icons.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like it's almost visually congested.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That sounds beautiful.
I know.
Yeah. I remember I looked it up a few years ago with some of those other ones because of Eurovision.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I saw them sing. I was like, man, what kind of language that is. So then I just kind of looked it up, and that's how I got interested in Malta. But that was a few years back now.
I'm trying to find the picture of I really think you'd find it like striking.
Yeah.
Valletta. There we go. Images. Yeah, there's like images all over the floor.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful.
It's crazy. I'm trying to find a good like floor shot. There's some good floor shots of this, but like there's like paint. There's like on the floor covered in this stuff.
Like real churches.
And I don't know. I just feel like I'd really enjoy spending a decent amount of time with no responsibility in like a Catholic country.
Oh yeah, that would be beautiful.
Poland, even.
Yeah. There's just
because I mean I obviously I have an affinity for Eastern Europeans. And
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Poland is the Eastern European Catholic country.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the others being Orthodox, but.
Yeah, I think with many European countries, there's I don't know. I think American culture is just so on the edge all the time, and I think that's what I enjoyed about living in Europe. It just didn't seem that way, Maybe it was just the areas that I was in. Yeah, but we were just people weren't just constantly angry.
Yeah,
it's like Americans are just really constantly angry, whether you're left or the right. You're just upset about the opposing side. And it just, I don't know. To me, that just gets tiresome. So I'm just not interested. You know, can we just talk about?
Well, it's
other
weird, but not
things?
being able to be around other like Catholics or something, and they
Yeah.
still do that like
They do, yeah,
hung up. It's like if they're not complaining about the president, they're complaining about the Pope, they're complaining
Yeah.
about the whatever.
yeah,
Because it's even in my, I know I've talked to you about it before. I don't know if anybody can relate, but like
yeah,
even hanging out with people like my mom or like family friends, they always just want to talk about like projects and stuff they're working on,
yes,
and goals and money and
Yeah.
finances and politics and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, can we just like
yeah,
not
yeah. I know.
just like drink for a while
Yep.
and like sing stuff,
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
talk about shows we like
yeah.
and ideas
Yeah,
and like
just
beautiful
in-
stuff.
interesting things.
It's like I can't care that much.
I know. And yeah, and I just remember that living there, and we'd just go out with like after class with my friends, we'd go to beer.
Yeah.
But like we never once discussed politics or why the left is driving us crazy or whatever.
Who
It just-
cares?
Yeah, it just wasn't that.
And I understand that like the state establishment trying to trans all the kids
Of
is
course,
like a big
yeah.
deal. I get it.
Yeah.
But
It's worth discussing. I'm not saying it's not worth discussing, but
the degree to the proportion of time I spend
mhm.
talking about that personally in my life
Yeah.
does not correlate in any way with the degree to which that problem is solved or not.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much I talk about that.
Mhm.
I can think that's evil and we can agree that that's evil, but
Yeah.
sitting and talking about all the way that's evil for hours,
Yeah.
just in a personal capacity,
I know it doesn't
is
do
not
anything.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
And again, I think that's that agency thing. Is I think that we all, as Americans, are really convinced that we have this agency in the world that we don't have.
Yeah.
That's kind of the Jordan Peterson thing that bothers me so much is
Yeah.
just clean your room and the world gets better. It's like, well, your world gets better.
Right, yes.
The world does not get better for that
Yes.
or not
Yeah.
in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And I think that you can concern yourself with your own immediate scope of agency,
Mhm.
and that's proper.
Yeah.
But like, no, the world is not the goodness or evil present in the world is not contingent on what you do
Yes.
as a
yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's a
I
little
agree.
silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what in the end is what's bothersome. That it is silly.
Just crack open, like pop a bottle and just like
Yeah.
watch the sunset for a minute
Right. Yeah.
with other people and just like scream laughing about stupid
Yes.
jokes.
Yeah.
Because it's weird is I think that people inherently know that's a more beautiful experience.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So it's like, they're probably a healthy ratio of my best experiences I've ever had
Mm-hmm.
are like being halfway to blackout drunk, walking around a town,
Yeah.
screaming, laughing about nothing
Yeah.
with a group of people for hours and
Yes.
smoking cigarettes
Yeah.
and just being.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best thing.
It is. Yeah.
No one has ever had the most beautiful experience of their life discussing what Joe Biden is doing.
Yeah. Or just being constantly angry about it. It's like
No one has ever had a beautiful experience doing.
Yeah.
No one has ever had a religious experience being mad about anything.
Yeah. It's like we could all agree that he's a dipshit, but we
Who
can't just
cares?
end there. Yeah.
Like, no, I'm here to talk about the food we're eating.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Yeah, because I've definitely been feeling like I have my friends on Twitter and stuff, but like I don't know why I use Twitter at all.
Yeah.
With increasing almost urgency, I feel like I'm like, this is a total waste of time.
Right. Yeah.
because I don't. Obviously, we have the show to promote and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the one with the Twitter presence.
Yeah.
I have over 10 times as many followers as you do. Whatever. I mean, that's just it is what it is. You have a life and don't have any don't have much reason to be on there aside from trolling people. But like, I mean, I have enough time to dedicate to like, you know,
Right, yeah.
being present as a representative for what we're doing.
Yeah.
But like,
Other than that,
what I just don't have any reason to be on there. Like, what to dunk on somebody like once a day
yeah, pretty
to
much.
like impress the 20 people I'm friends with.
Yeah.
Who are already impressed, like are impressed with me and proud of me for doing what I do.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not. I don't know. It's just like if you're on Twitter and you aren't actively amassing a following for some end.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know why anybody who isn't really, really pathologically driven to promote whatever thing they're doing.
Yeah.
With results. I don't know why you do that. I mean, there are people who just do it because it's like a funny thing they do and like they have friends and like that's fine.
Right, yeah.
But like that doesn't feel like that for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have a life outside of it. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you go to work and you go home and you
know.
cook and then you fall asleep and you get up and go to work and stuff. And like I'm not doing that part for anybody
Yeah.
except to live.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's like I think that Twitter is the at least as far as things that exist in the world now is like the ultimate manifestation of that constant engagement.
Oh, it definitely is.
The constant engagement of which the most beautiful experience any of us have partakes in no way.
Yeah.
It's like the anti-beauty.
Yeah.
It's like Twitter's like the anti-beatific vision almost. It's like whatever you do on Twitter is the polar opposite of religious experience of any kind.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is just therapy session. I'm just trying to carry the air right now. We can be done whenever
I'm good.
you think you're good.
Yeah. Gotta sleep.
I know you do. But anyway, do you want me to switch the thing?
All right.
You got it? You have to do the thing. Maybe we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.